Our parliamentarians are useless, utterly useless, completely useless. And whenever I talk about parliamentarians, I think everybody has heard me say, not once, not twice, that I completely don't have an intention of being a member of parliament. It will depress me, and I think I'll just die. And we need to start thinking about converting our activism into political action. I loved it when you began by saying, how do we convert all this activism into political action? The government is very happy when we remain leaderless, when we remain formless, because that means they can continue stealing without caring, because they'll dismiss us and say, those are some activists and content creators. They are worried when we start now taking political action, because politicians didn't expect competition. They knew that they've already created a solid system where they've commercialized the politics in Kenya. The politics now is about money, and they are the ones who have stolen the highest amount of money, and therefore they are the only ones who have the capability of being elected.
Kwani, in the Kenyan constitution, there is no clause that talks about conflict of interest. And if it's there, if someone knows in the chat, just
I don't think they talk about conflict of interest.
What would
they
it
talk
be
about what's the one? Integrity. I think is
but
the one if you're convicted or something. Right?
No. So the conflict of interest is talked about as in, like, if you're in government, you are only not allowed to do business with government if it is directly related to your docket. But kama uko Ministry for Health, unaweza kwenda ukachukua tenda airport. But maybe Morara
now to finance.
Maybe Morara can school us a bit more
that, because I think Sifuna was here. Because remember, he touched on the conflict of interest bill and how they were trying to streamline.
Yes,
it had not been defined.
Yes, so what they were trying to do was define. So EACC was coming out and saying that what the politicians are trying to do, they're trying to find a way that it's open season for anyone to be able to get a tender, even them, their spouses or their chicks, their rellas or whatever. But what they wanted to do was they wanted to clearly define that if you are an officer or you are there was a term also that, because it's about terminologies. That is a certain word that I can't remember exactly what it was, but if you're an officer or a government official, you cannot.
We have a civic educator, and he's also a lawyer.
He's also a lawyer.
People forget that.
By the way,
he's also a lawyer, so he's very familiar with the constitution. So Morara, talk to us about this question that Val was asking.
I think right. As you may know, the history of making of our constitution, there was the Bomas draft, which was supposed to be the constitution, but when it was taken to Naivasha, they said the political class went there and negotiated some things out of the constitution and gave us a very weak chapter 6 of the constitution, which actually is supposed to be the one policing conflict of interest. But let me tell the people who are watching us from the diaspora today and elsewhere to know this. There is no shortage of laws in Kenya. And if there is something that disgusts me, it is seeing MPs on TV or anywhere. Those people are the worst idiots that have ever walked this good earth of the Lord. Those people, they are legislators who never legislate. For example, the data protection law, they copy word for word from, I think, the UK or European Union law. Wanachukua sheria imeundwa huko, wanakuja wanabadilisha where it says the United Kingdom and Wales, they write Kenya. Those are the laziest people that we have. Our parliamentarians are useless, utterly useless, completely useless. And whenever I talk about parliamentarians, I think everybody has heard me say, not once, not twice, that I completely don't have an intention of being a member of parliament. It will depress me, and I think I'll just die. I don't even want to be a senator at all, because that house is full of drama and useless drama. Because they call cabinet secretaries to that house to come and answer audit questions. But it's a charade. They've already eaten money from the cabinet secretary. They're just doing it for TV. Parliament is a TV show. It's nothing. Nothing happens there. It is the same parliament where laws are passed that are ridiculous. Laws that you can never pass in a normal parliament, they pass in our parliament. People don't even read those laws before they pass them. So we don't have a shortage of laws to police corruption. All these things we are talking about, or conflict of interest, what can we do? Kenya has some of the most punitive anti-corruption laws in the world. What we have in Kenya is impunity and lack of fidelity to the constitution. We have a murderer in parliament who shot someone in the head with a pistol, and he's in parliament. We have a person convicted of a criminal offense of embezzlement of public funds, who was even jailed in prison. He's in parliament. He walks with the president. He takes pictures with the president. He speaks sometimes even on behalf of the president. We have an acting inspector general called Masangeli, who's been summoned by court and refused to go. The court held him in contempt and even sentenced him yesterday. But do you expect him to go to prison? Because the sentence says he should surrender himself to the nearest commission of prisons for processing. He'll never do that. Yet he's convicted of a criminal offense. If we were serious about what is going in Kenya, even William Ruto would not be president today. Because how do we vote for someone who has been an accused person trying to sell public land to Kenya Pipeline Corporation? How do we elect such a person? And that is why some of this money that you're sending me is going to be very useful. It's useful because you people in the diaspora need to realize that 80% of Kenyans are not like you and me. You and me are in the minority. The majority don't care about corruption. They cannot relate. They don't know that it's happening. Majority of Kenyans have never read the Constitution. They don't know the system of governance. Therefore, they don't know even what they should be expecting from leaders. They are just on autopilot. 90% of Kenyans, or 95%, they've not read the Constitution. That's why if you listen to my speech when I was at Okoa Uchumi Citizen Assembly, I said I want this Constitution to be translated to local languages so that you can read the Constitution in Kikuyu, you can read the Constitution in Dholuo, you can read the Constitution in Kegusi, you can read the Constitution in Luya, so that people understand, number one, what system of governance are they supposed to expect? Because the reason we have weak accountability in Kenya is because people don't know. People don't have the knowledge. They don't know what should be happening. They don't know what expectations they should be having on government. If they read their constitution, they will know what government should do and what it shouldn't do. And that will help a long way in terms of citizens policing the politics. The other thing you need to know is that one thing that I believe is my greatest achievement with the Vampire Diaries, and I thank God for it, not by my own might nor by my power, but because He made it possible, is that for the first time in Kenya, I have caught the attention of villagers. For the first time. Villagers have been in this dreamland where when corruption cases are mentioned on TV, they assume that it is a Nairobi thing. They assume that 6 billion stolen from Ministry of Health. They are like, hiyo ni mambo ya watu wa Nairobi. For the first time, I have caught the attention of villagers and people in rural settlements. Why? Because I have gone to their villages and shown them how corruption is affecting them next to their doorstep. And that is very painful. That is why this government is completely uncomfortable with me, because I have made a headwind in terms of revealing corruption in a way it was not revealed before. You see, corruption happens every day. It's reported by the media. You know, one corruption scandal after another, one corruption scandal after another. In fact, right now you can say we have now suffered emotional fatigue. Corruption is part of the news every day. So until we don't take it seriously anymore, and it's intentional, politicians have made sure that they steal so much and so consistently so that you people are even tired of hearing about it until you start doubting whether it's even real. For the first time, I have gone to villages, Ikumbi, Kigundu Road in Muranga, Kigumo, and I've touched the heart of a Mnyanya of 70 years. You know, I was being told today when I was at the airport, somebody told me, my grandmother listens to your videos. And I was like, wow, how old is your grandmother? He says, she's 72. I says, oh, she's listening. Yes. Then I said, then Kenya is about to change. I have border people listening to my videos. I landed in Meru. I wanted to go to Isiolo. And while I was at Meru at a stage, border people were showing me pictures, videos that they follow me on TikTok, and they are listening and watching. I went to Isiolo, and you should see the faces of Mama Mboga over there. They've been sending me 10 bob, 40 bob, 50 bob. Those Mama Mbogas in Isiolo, they were absolutely excited. They didn't even think I'll come to Isiolo. When I mentioned their mortuary, they almost screamed. Hao ni Mama Mboga kwa soko, waliacha kuuza. Walisema leo hata hatuna haja ya kuuzia watu. We don't even want to make that money ya leo. Kama umekuja sasa, I even asked the public while on the mic, mko na haraka, niende? They said, no, usiende, tueleze maneno. People are listening.
Yes.
And the people that we want to listen are the ones that are listening. And that is the most beautiful thing that has ever happened. Mama Mbogas are listening, border people are listening, villagers are listening, because these people make up 75% of the vote base. When the Gen Z protest failed in Nairobi on Nane, the first rally that William Ruto held was not in the city, because the people in the city are too wise. He went to villagers because those are the ones he can lie to. So therefore, I want to thank you for your contributions. That $10 you're giving, that $20, that $50, I want to assure you that that money is going to go to civic education. And in fact, one of the first things I need will be an office, because now I have whistleblowers bringing me documents from inside government. I have meetings with high-level government officials. For example, on Tuesday, I have a meeting with the Canadian High Commissioner. So for that reason, where I've reached now, I can no longer operate as just some civic educator or just some online personality. I've now to start rebranding myself into a youthful leader who can actually bring transformational change. And we need to start thinking about converting our activism into political action. I loved it when you began by saying, how do we convert all this activism into political action? The government is very happy when we remain leaderless, when we remain formless, because that means they can continue stealing without caring, because they'll dismiss us and say, those are some activists and content creators. They are worried when we start now taking political action, because politicians didn't expect competition. They knew that they've already created a solid system where they've commercialized the politics in Kenya. The politics now is about money, and they are the ones who have stolen the highest amount of money, and therefore they are the only ones who have the capability of being elected. But we are changing the game. Initially, it was politicians giving people money. I am now preaching a new gospel where it is citizens giving politicians money. When they want you to be their leader, they identify you, they groom you, they package you, they open a pay bill, they contribute 10 shillings, 20 shillings, 5,000, 2,000, and they make you their leader. So from that day, you should know that they own you. But these other leaders, they've been stealing public funds, and they come and campaign. Then they continue stealing from the Kenyans in the name of narudisha pesa ya campaign. Ama natafuta pesa ya campaign next. So that is the situation of our politics in Kenya. And I hope that the diaspora can find their place to plug in, not just in terms of plugging in terms of providing resources, but also in terms of providing civic education. You know, sometimes we do so little and we think that it is little. Let me tell you, you who is listening to me, who is in the diaspora, kupiga simu kwa mama nyumbani, kumwelezea mambo ya ufisadi na mambo ya uongozi mbaya, you've already made a step in the right direction. In fact, you've already done so much. Because if everybody talks to their parents, can you imagine how many people will be able to reach? If you talk to your siblings, can you imagine how far we'll go? If you share material that is supposed to educate people about bad governance on your family WhatsApp groups, do you know how much people will reach? So the first thing is taking personal initiative. The second is being there for providing the resources. Thirdly, you can come and be present and participate. Fourth, you can pile pressure on the institutions that provide funding to the Kenyan government or that can keep the Kenyan government to account. If you provide pressure to them, that pressure can assist. The fifth thing that I want the diaspora to do is identify assets that corrupt Kenyan politicians are buying abroad. I challenged the people who are living in London. What were London? I told them, read the Auditor General's report. We paid 1.6 billion to buy the Chancery building in London, the Embassy building in London. We paid 1.6 billion to buy it in financial year 2022-2023 and 2023-2024. Where is the building? Yet we are paying up to 60 million shillings in rent per year. Ilienda wapi? And I asked the people of London to check. They checked on the website. They realized that we are still listing the building. We don't own it. So that is something they can check for me. Kenyans living in Pakistan, Islamabad, they can check where 486 million went, which was supposed to build the ambassador's residence. 486 million has already been spent. The contractor has already been paid all the money. Is the ambassador's residence there in Islamabad? And I dare you, it's not there. Kenyans living in London, William Ruto bought 6 Boeing 747 airplanes.
Where?
That are insured by Lloyd's of London. I'm not speaking in vanity. The person who told me he himself is a billionaire and he lives in London. So he knows what he's talking about. That guy bought 6 Boeings to start an airline. The people living in London, if you have connections with Lloyd's of London Insurance, you need to find out, we need to identify those planes very quickly. Because some of the state assets that are being sold in Kenya, you heard about the privatization bill that was being brought. That was William Ruto and his friends trying to buy state corporations. They want to own Kenya Meat Commission, Kenya Airports Authority. They want to buy in because they have so much cash abroad. Where do they want them to spend it? They don't want to spend it abroad. They want to buy things at home. That's why they want to privatize government parastatals. So I need people in the diaspora to help us identify. Then the other thing is most of the people that are abroad have also great expertise and professional excellence. Some of them are the best IT minds that we have in the world. They've just escaped a very corrupt system in Kenya and went to look for other opportunities abroad. We have some of the best accountants living and working in the US and other countries. We have some of the best engineers living abroad. We have, some of the best marketing and public communications experts. We would like you to plug in on this and provide your professional expertise towards making Kenya a better place. So we will need that professional knowledge and expertise and research in terms of also identifying poor workmanship in infrastructural projects, being able to audit government books, because sometimes we receive so much information, it is in form of financial statements and Excel sheets, and we are unable to analyze it because we don't have the financial capacity to hire researchers on a permanent basis or on a good contract. So because of that, you can also plug in by being a volunteer. And, you know, just saying, whenever you have something in this line, give it to me, nitakuchambulia haraka haraka. So those are some of my ideas on how the diaspora can plug in.
Wow. You know, Morara, like, now I understand. You know, like on Lin Ngugi's show, that's when he was talking about your life, you are an A student. And now I understand why you're an A student. Because all the questions the teacher has here that I had not even read, you are already answering them. You know, like it's like you've read ahead of the teacher. And you already know, you know, like some of the questions we're going to ask, which is just which is just so compelling.
Like Kamala.
It is very compelling, you know, and yeah, and it's very important. Those things that you've said about the diaspora, one of the reasons why I really, you know, like told a lot of people out here in the diaspora, let's talk to him. And let's first of all try to hear from him, because people have so many ideas here and there.
Yes.
And you know, sometimes we are here maybe detached from what's happening in the ground, which is good when it's coming directly from you, because we understand that these are the most salient things that we can do that can have some small wins. And I like that idea about small wins, because sometimes people look at this and they're like, this is too much money, these people are too powerful, there's nothing I can do. But when you inspire people by telling them, even just calling your mother, and telling them, or your grandmother, and telling them about this and that, or educating them on this and that, is a step forward. The other thing that has also been very impressive about you, which I think maybe people are not seeing now that you become popular, is also the performative aspect, which is where politicians for a very long time had defeated most other people. The way you wear the kaunda suits, you know, and then you go on top of a car. And then unaenda unasalimia watu. In fact, just do an impression for us. Because I will not do this justice. I will not do ebu salimia tu watu wa diaspora. Imagine you're on top of a car and we are a big crowd here. How would you greet us?
Now tutenge pesa.
So, okay. So before I do that skit for you, I want to tell you the thinking behind it. Now, I know it's entertaining and I know you love it, but let me just tell you the thinking behind it. The thinking is this. You have to take away Ruto's voice. Let me tell you, the most valuable thing to a politician is their mouth. If you take away their mouth, they are unable to communicate. And if they are unable to communicate, they are unable to lie. And if they are unable to lie, you get them out of power. One thing I've been able to do successfully is to imitate William Ruto. And by imitating, to reveal the lies that he tells to Kenyans. And you know, when you imitate him and you retell the lie, using his own tactics, wearing his own clothes, standing at his own location, which is on top of the vehicle, I can tell you that dramatization goes into the hearts of Kenyans. Now, soon he will become shy. He will be unable to stand again on top of vehicles and lie to people. And that's a good thing, because then it gets him off the lie. And then we start seeing some real things happening. Watu wa diaspora hamjambo.
Hatujambo.
Mimi nataka niwaeleze hivi na nataka mnisikize vizuri. Tayari hapa kwa OneMicShow nilikuwa nimekwisha weka mpango ya kununua equipment ya 5.6 billion ili hawa mama mboga na hawa watu makanga na hawa vinyozi na wale wabeba ili hawa wote waweze kusaidika kutoka kwa mradi ya OneMicShow. Sijui kama tunaelewana.
Tunaelewana kabisa.
Mimi nataka niwaeleze hivi. Si mimi ndio nilikuja hapa kwa OneMicShow. Na si niliwaahidi, ni kweli si kweli?
Kweli kabisa.
Na ahadi ni nini?
Ni deni.
Ahadi ni deni. Mimi nimerudi hapa kwa mambo yenu ya maji na mambo ya stima na mambo ya barabara. Hapa Amerika hapa, ukienda hapa Minnesota, barabara ya kutoka hapo Minneapolis kukuja mpaka hapa New Jersey pale Hudson, hiyo nilikuwa nimeweka mpango ya 330 billion. Lakini huyo contractor akakosa. Sasa nitaleta contractor mwingine kwa mpango wetu huu wa hii finance bill mpya, nitazungumza na huyo mjumbe wenu ili tuweke pesa ingine ya kuunganisha watu na stima na maji na barabara, ili Wakenya wote waweze kusaidika kutoka kwa mpango wetu wa affordable housing. Sijui kama tunaelewana.
Tumeelewana kabisa.
Pale Seattle nimejenga 160,000 units of affordable housing ili vijana waweze kupata kazi ya mjengo. Mimi nataka niwaeleze hivi, tunataka amani katika taifa letu. Hatutaki fujo, hatutaki siasa ya maandamano. Mimi nitazungumza na hawa mabishop na hawa intercessors ili waombee Kenya yetu, ili Kenya yetu iwe na amani. Sijui kama tunaelewana.
Tunaelewana kabisa.
Halali. Kumbe ni wangwana.
Wow. You know, let me tell you something.
Oh my God.
This is the one area that for a very long time I personally had not figured out, because you had a lot of good people who wanted to implement change, but they did not know, they did not want to learn politics, or they did not want to learn, you know, like what these politicians do to get people's attention, which you did it to perfection. And you captured it to the T. Right now, when I hear President Ruto speaking, like, it just rings lies. Lies. This is a lie until it is proven to be true.
Otherwise.
Yeah. And now that has filtered down to the village. It has filtered down to the slums, where most voters are. Mike, your speech may
let me tell you. You know, I wanted to say this when he was giving a rundown and talking about Mama Mboga, Boda Boda. You know, it for him it's one thing to say, but it's another to show you barabara ambayo pesa zilikuwa zimetengwa. Kulikuwa na inaitwaje, not authorization, flag off launch with a board and the curtain, the plaque, and then he goes back and the place that had the plaque is black, nothing.
Or the plaque is gone.
The plaque is gone. Or if it's there, it's not there. There's no curtain. Barabara is Madhogodhanio. When you see a video of him going and people are around him and they're peeling off the road with their hands, na pesa zilikuwa zimetengwa. When he goes and shows you money that had been set aside to build a market that ends up being a parking lot or a shed that you can park cars, or maybe you're a mechanic. You know, when you're visually shown that, it's when it sinks in that, what?
I know.
It's messed up.
And then, you know, there was also recently, Morara, you posted barabara. I don't know what part of Nairobi that is, but there was a whole manhole, shimbo, like where cars are passing, like someone can easily, you know, like if a motorbike ikipita hapo, inaweza kutumbukia huko ndani. Someone can actually die. And this is a major road, and it has been like that for a while, and cars are still moving around. Anyway,
so it's quite interesting. It's eye opening. That visually now, and I think like what he was saying, how watu mashinani in the villages wanaona video, you know, like Shosho ameona video, ameonyeshwa. And then on top of that, anaonyeshwa, by the way, this is happening hapo kwenyu hii barabara. Hapo. Hii hospitali kama hiyo mambo ya Isiolo. You know, like it's like, oh my God. Hapa tu nyumbani. Isiolo. That's my so it's something that you can visually relate to, that is now you can say that the blind are now starting to see. Which is remarkable. And that is what we needed to see, because unasikianga tu tunasikianga, but when you actually see, like now those people who, you remember when Isaac Ruto, that Isaac Ruto, one time we made fun of him, where he had they had bought ambulances and fire hose, firefighting equipment, only for them to be power washers.
Power washer.
You remember?
Yes, I remember. And when it was being shown all over the
it was being shown, and back we're like, what?
Yeah.
That is what we are being. We need to appreciate what we are being shown, because now us in the diaspora are seeing it. Now imagine show.
Yeah, someone who's actually from that
experiencing it.
Yeah, wacha tukuje kwa Omosh Fire and then tutenda kwa Mika, you know, tusikie wao kona nini ya kusema, and then we're going to come to the comments. I hope you're still keeping the tallies both on YouTube and on Facebook. The numbers are up there, +254 708 985611. This money is going directly to Morara Kebaso. Haipiti Hong Kong, haipiti Dubai, haipiti Atlanta, inaenda straight kwake. And of course, you see, he's now meeting the Canadian High Commissioner. You know, he needs an office. You know, like he needs researchers. He needs people to be able to do certain tasks for him.
Shirandula has offered his IT services.
Yes, he's offered his IT services.
We have volunteered you
to hack all those government bloggers and wipe out all their phones.
What do you call that guy of System Facts?
Dennis Itumbi.
No, there's a you have a name for him.
Dennis Mayai.
Okay,
yes.
Sawa.
All these people, by the way, all these people who are blogging on behalf of the trying to deceive people. I think all these people should be put on notice. We're wengi sana. Now they're recruiting Hussein Mohammed. I remember Hussein Mohammed called when Morara, he needs to cool out. Hussein now needs, he's a good journalist, you know, like I've known him as a good journalist before. He has been misused. He has been misused. Ameanza kutumika vibaya, but now these are the
Ali
people
will give him a chance to rectify.
Let's give him a chance to reform. But there's a problem.
Morara that question. He needs to be given a chance to rectify.
Wacha tutamuliza Morara hiyo swali, because he called. They were not challenging what Morara was saying. They were not challenging the projects. They were not challenging that. But walikuwa wanakuja tu anasema hapana. Morara kupigiwa simu na president.
Thank you. That was all.
Ngoja kwanza Ali.
Yes. Mika.
Huyo jamaa hajakuwa journalist for 2 years. So stop calling him that. He hasn't been a journalist for the last 2 years. He's been the spokesperson for state-ups.
Yes.
Amekuwa kidanganya for the past 2 years. He's been lying for the past 2 years. So wacha kujaribu kumtetea
lakini ni mtu
I tried to save you, but
mtu wa Ali ni mtu wa Nairobi West ama ni wa Wagadi
wanajuana kwa majina.
Hussein nimejaribu kutetea, but sasa hapo Saudi pange.